Yeah, congratulations to Florida State. They played a great second half. They were the better football team tonight, and we certainly are not the football team that I thought we were, got to do a much better job, obviously, and developing our football team. We clearly were short in a lot of areas tonight, and that falls on me to get our football team to be better in most of the competitive areas that you saw tonight.
Hello and welcome to Tigers Roar. I am Jonathan Poche, joined as always by the Bud Man, Buddy Songy. Of course, if you're familiar with Tigers Roar, you know the deal. If LSU loses, the sunglasses come out, and LSU certainly laid an egg on September the 3rd. 8 months after January 2nd stomping of Purdue in the bowl game, all the expectations, anticipation, all the build-up. Certainly for a letdown, all eyes on LSU. Only game Sunday night, and Florida State, Mike Norvell certainly came ready to play. Coach Brian Kelly, heard in the intro, said, this is not the team that we thought we were. He kind of pulled the reverse Denny Green on you. They were who we thought we were. We let them off the hook. The opposite of that, Coach Brian Kelly had a press conference again today, Tuesday, September 5, as we tape here from Old School Barbecue. We'll let you guys hear from Coach Brian Kelly a little bit later on in this episode of Tigers Roar. Want to welcome in the Bud Man. How you doing, sir? Great to see you.
Good to see you. Hope everybody doing well. Long Labor Day weekend, and I got to tell you, JP, I mentioned this on numerous occasions. The brain plays tricks on you. And people saw Kim Mulkey and win it.
Yep.
People saw Jay Johnson and they came back and won it after a bump in the road. LSU football had greater expectations for a couple of reasons. Number one, those two things happened. And number two, they were preseason number 5 in the country. Oh, by the way, that is a crapshoot. A lot of that was because Jaden Daniels was coming back. A lot of that was because LSU had an experienced offensive line coming back, and they had some good talent coming back. But it was a poop show Sunday night.
Yep.
And I think everybody's got to look in the mirror. Oh, by the way, you Tiger fans, we need to take a deep breath. Let's practice a little bit of inhaling. Hold it and exhale. They still are 11 more chapters in the regular season book, but an inauspicious start. And, JP, I did not realize it until it hit me today. This is the 4th consecutive year the Tigers have lost their opening game.
Yep.
So, but because of those expectations, because of those preseason ratings, because Jaden Daniels was the second favorite to win the Heisman, people thought that they were going to take care of business with an appreciably better football team, deeper football team, and it just did not play out the way anybody wanted. And Florida State wanted to be relevant, and they made themselves relevant with that second half, butt kicking. So we have a lot to digest, but happy football season. Hang in there. Saints open up this weekend. LSU hosts Grambling, and now, believe it or not, week 3 against Mississippi State at 11 o'clock. That ball game all of a sudden became appreciably more important because of the egg laid. But hang in there, Tiger fans. They're going to get better, and JP, we know this. People don't want to hear this, but it takes a while to find out about the nuts and bolts, the Jimmies and the Joes, who you can depend on. And quite frankly, from a coaching standpoint, from a playing standpoint, and even from the fans, Florida State dominated this game Sunday night.
Yeah, outcoached in every facet of the game. Florida State came more intensity, more physicality, dominated line of scrimmage outside of Mekhi Wingo in the first half, who was an absolute menace in that first half, getting in the backfield. But didn't make adjustments at halftime. Florida State came out with a different look, with a counterplay, two-back set. LSU couldn't fit the run. Coach Brian Kelly said, you got to be able to make adjustments as a coaching staff. Completely outcoached. Of course, you had more problems with the special teams. Aaron Anderson must have on the punt, which is the same thing that happened in week 1 last year. Of course, Deuce Chestnut gets the interception right after this, so it kind of negated the special teams blunder. But a lot of things to clean up, Bud, man. You talk about only 2 penalties on LSU to 10 for Florida State. And, yeah, one side of the ball, that's great. You know, you're playing disciplined ball, not hurting yourself with penalties, but on the other side of the ball, the lack of intensity. I mean, you kind of want to see some fire in week one. If you get a little bit after the whistle in week one, it's okay. But you want to see those guys fired up, ready to play. Florida State definitely came out. Look, they got punched in the mouth that first play, 55 yards, Trey Bradford, down to the goal line. They get hit with a roughing the passer, which I thought Jaden Daniels kind of sold that play. I don't know if every quarterback in the league gets that call when he gets thrown down. But then you get first and goal from the 2-yard line, can't punch it in, go for it on 4th down, take a sack. That just set the tone for the rest of the game. LSU dug goes into halftime 17-14, but then 31-7 in the second half. Totally complacent, did not come out with any fire. Coach Brian Kelly said, we didn't know I don't know who we thought we were. We're not the 2-time defending Georgia Bulldogs. And yeah, I think you made a great point. The LSU fans saw the women's basketball team win a national championship, saw the baseball team win a national championship. There was a lot of that year 2 talk with Coach Brian Kelly. And now the reality is 11 true freshmen had to start in that game, but man, a lot of youth on this LSU Tiger team, including 2 transfers that had to play corners for the Tigers on Sunday. And Florida State has a legit quarterback with a few legit wide receivers, and it's prevented a lot of matchup problems.
Florida State is a real deal. They have been trying to be relevant here. Look, by the way, Brian Kelly has had a propensity to struggle in big games. At Notre Dame, he was something like 3 wins and 10 losses. Here he is 2-3. Last year he got clobbered by Tennessee and Georgia, beat Alabama and Ole Miss, who were respectively 6 and 7 at the time. The problem with this loss is that now this is a 3rd top 10 loss, and all 3 of them have been blowouts. Yep. Look, boss man Alan Traylor made a good point. The old school mentality of football is when you get down there, you take points and you get a little momentum. I think LSU is going to be an appreciably better team playing from ahead than behind. But Brian Kelly's had a propensity to go for it on 4th down, which I love. But you got to call better plays. Mike Denbrock's got to help Jaden Daniels. I did a practice report with Scarborough, and people were going nuts because I told people, well, Jaden Daniels looked like the old Jaden Daniels. I don't know if you saw that report, but it said he was getting back there and freezing and not going through his progression of reads and holding the ball. Denbrock cannot afford to let Jaden Daniels hold the ball too long. They've got to dink and dunk. By the way, I was incredibly wrong. I bought hook, line, and sinker Aaron Anderson. I still think he's going to be fantastic. We predicted him to fumble one, take one to the house, and take one to the house with a penalty. Well, already the fumble. Yep. What did you think when he fumbled the first punt? Was it deja vu, or
yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about again, man?
That's exactly. Here we go again. Here we go all over again. And LSU, you heard Coach Mike Denbrock say last year they played a lot of times in survival mode, and you could see a little bit of that starting to take place late in that second half, late in that first half, early in the second half, where Jaden Daniels really dropped back and was kind of panicked. I thought the miscommunications between the wide receivers, yeah, you put that on the first game, and if it's between Daniels and Neighbors, one time it happens, but to have so many miscommunications with 3 different wide receivers, guys running different routes, reading different things on cornerbacks, then you throw in the drop balls. Look, it was not Jaden Daniels' best performance as LSU Tiger quarterback, but LSU cannot have Jaden Daniels be their leading rusher for every game this season. He will not make it through the SEC gauntlet.
Well, now we're getting into more problems. The offensive line was not as dominant. And, of course, there's a lot of fire on social media about the D lineman from Florida State saying Miles Frazier told him, man, bro, you guys are good up front. Holly Rowe actually said it during the game. Florida State thinks they can take advantage of 70 Miles Frazier. Yep. So the offensive line disappointed, play calling disappointed. And look, I know these position coaches get paid a lot of money, but when a guy has 3 or 4 drops and you're not giving those backup wide receivers, Chris Hilton, Shelton Sampson, Kyle Parker, Aaron Anderson got put in timeout because of the fumble, yet Kyron Lacey dropped 3 or 4 balls, including a really important one late, and yet he kept going out there. So they've got to clean that up. Look, it's never easy. You have this anticipation. You're going to do this, this, and this. And I don't know if that's a negative stat or not, only having 2 penalties. I thought LSU played softer than we thought they would be. We told you that there would be some Swiss cheese dealt with their secondary, and they had some holes. But listen to this stat, folks. Last year, LSU had 29 sacks as a defense. and gave up 45 sacks. Remember, I said you got to flip that around, having 40 sacks and give up 29. You know what the stats were in this game?
Well, LSU had 0 sacks.
0 sacks, and they gave up 5 sacks, and JP only hurried Jordan Travis 4 times, and that gets us into the next talking point, Harold Perkins. I thought Perkins pouted during the game. I saw some times where he did not hustle. He actually got taken out for a couple reps. But is this a square peg in a round hole, or do they know what they're doing, trying to make him realize you've got to think, you've got to play? First of all, he's not big enough to stop the A-gap with a 225-pound running back. Unless he gets his pad leveled and his legs really ready to go, you'll get run over.
Yep.
But everybody freaking about the fact that Harold Perkins was a spy on 25 plays and only rushed 7 plays. This is the 3rd game in a row now, Texas A&M, Georgia, and this game where they have taken away Harold Perkins. And so it's going to be interesting to see what Perk does, what, of course, Matt House does. And look, I got to say across the board, it was a stinker for everybody.
Yep. We have a spicy intro. If you missed any of this episode, go check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. All the Tigers Roars are archived there for your viewing pleasure. So go check it out. Once again, youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. We have highlights. We have Brian Kelly tape. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. It'll be coming up later on here on Tigers Roar.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Visit Treads & Care Tire Company's new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for over 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair and top-notch customer service.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Very few vehicles develop a community of ownership like the Mazda Miata. But why? Well, maybe it's because Mazda's been building the Roadster for over 25 years and there's never been a bad one. Or maybe it's because the Mazda Miata's been universally praised since its inception as one of the most fun cars to drive for the money. If you're looking for fun, affordability, and reliability, come see our Mazda Miata selection today and experience for yourself why Miata is always the answer. At Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Look up to the skies, I see the sun.
And we continue here on Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche joined by the Budman, Buddy Songy, here at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. A great place to escape the South Louisiana heat. Great old school barbecue at old school prices. Come check out the Boss Hog pulled pork sandwich, a great deal, under $9. You get 2 sides and a drink. Come check it out. Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. But man, talking some LSU football, they dropped the opener 45-24 to the Florida State Seminoles, a rematch from week 1 of last season, in which LSU lost to Florida State Seminoles by 1 point on a blocked extra point, trying to tie it up. But man, if you lose by 1 or you lose by 20, it still counts as 1 loss in that column. But still, it's a much different feeling here going into week 2 for LSU with such high expectations. Preseason number 5. Returning Jaden Daniels, all that talent on the outside. Pick up Aaron Anderson from Alabama. Everybody's high on the Tigers, and they come out and lay an absolute egg. Coach Brian Kelly said they were not the team that he thought they were, talking about the mentality and discipline, controlled enthusiasm, whatever you want to say. LSU did not bring their A game. What do you think needs to change, Budman, here in week 2 so we can say LSU is on the right track?
Well, look, first of all, they had an inordinate amount of injuries in the spring. If you remember, they had 2 running backs out at spring. Oh, by the way, John Emery will come back from Mississippi State. Logan Diggs, inexplicably, was not on the injury list, but he didn't play. I think he's going to end up being LSU's best running back. Trey Bradford, great play to start the game. You kind of wish he got in the end zone. But basically, JP, we didn't see, from what our access was available to us, we did not see how physical they were. The most physicality we saw at practice was when they all got in a fight and everybody started swinging. That all being said, LSU has got to play big boy football, and I'm a little concerned that there are more finesse players and more physical players. Florida State wanted to send a message, and they did in the second half. Now you've got to pick up the chin straps, and you got to forget it. You had to have a very quick memory and let it go. You know about the axiom. Everybody's supposed to improve more from the first game to the second game. Yep. And here's one other tidbit that has festered its ugly head already. And you love when people have different opinions, but there's a handful of people out there that are fed up with Jaden Daniels and ready for Nussmeier to come in and get reps. And I think that right now, from what I've seen, Jaden Daniels is not coming off the field unless he gets hurt. And you're not worried about developing Nussmeier for next year. But he did take a step back. And so I think Den Brock and the offensive play calling have got to help them. You got to play more players, and they will this weekend. And on defense, 4 hurries, no sacks, 4 hurries, and 2 pass breakups. That's not a great resume. Matt House, what did you think about the way they played Perk? Were you screaming at the TV? And do you have confidence that Matt House, who is a good coordinator, will get this thing righted?
No, I do have confidence that the role for Harold Perkins will improve for this team. Look, I understand what the coaching staff's philosophy is. He's an undersized pass rusher that will, if he goes to the next level, which everyone is expecting Harold Perkins to play on Sundays, he is going to transition into a true outside linebacker. So they want to get some experience with him covering tight ends and backs out the backfield and reading that read option and using his eyes. But this was the best pass rusher, arguably, in the country last year. Certainly the best on LSU's team once you lose Mason Smith. As a freshman, the expectations were him to come back and have a huge year in his sophomore campaign. But you saw him play in the spy, as you mentioned earlier in the show, 25 plays this last game. And when you're waiting 4 or 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage, giving the offensive line time to get to that second level and then wash you out of the play, you're now eliminating LSU's one of their best defensive pass rushers. It's a strange flex to have the best freshman pass rusher in the nation come back his sophomore year and not have him rush the passer. I understand it's a different role. Coach Brian Kelly said last year was a see ball, get ball situation. For this LSU Tigers team, Hal Perkins needs to see ball and get the ball. They need more pressure on the quarterback. You mentioned it. 0 sacks, 0 hurries. When you have
4 hurries.
Four hurries, 0 sacks. 2 pass breakups. They're both by Greg Brooks.
Yeah,
I mean, you got
exactly.
the interception by Chestnut, but that ball was terribly thrown behind the line of scrimmage right to him. It wasn't like he had to make a break on the ball. Yeah, you have got to get Harold Perkins getting off to that quarterback. Last year, he seemed an unstoppable force, getting 3 sacks a game, dominated Arkansas, absolutely took over that game single-handedly.
But see, Arkansas didn't know about Harold Perkins.
That's exactly right.
The jury is out now, and if you get a 330-pound guy that puts his hands on Harold Perkins, you know he's going to hold him to begin with. But lo and behold, it was, look, I know there's a lot of overreaction. Take a deep breath. Once again, be nice to your animals, be nice to your daughter, be nice to your wife, and just relax. This is not something that you talk a good game.
Yeah.
You've got to play a good game. And look, I think LSU needs to quit all the talking and quit all the other stuff and get down to bare tactics, because Mississippi State plays Arizona this weekend. Trust me, folks, when I tell you, 11 o'clock a week from this Saturday, the Cowbells, and if LSU doesn't make quick improvement, those fans are going to feel like they could see a victory. Florida State, let's give them credit. I never thought the atmosphere in Orlando would be the way it was. In fact, they had a little camera on Brian Kelly, and he told the guy next to him, he says, man, this is going to be a big crowd for Florida State in their favor. The media people that I talked to that said it was 75-25 Florida State or something in that neighborhood. And maybe that's why Kelly went for touchdowns instead of taking the field goals. But you got to call better plays, and you got to get the ball out of the hands of Jaden Daniels. And I would expect LSU to play appreciably better. Mason Smith will be eligible to play in this game, but he's a little heavy, and he still plays a little high. Expect him to get 40 to 45 reps. Look, as you alluded to, 18, you got to give Mekhi Wingo a lot of credit. He was busting his butt. Braden Swinson, one of the few bright spots, a new player. Chestnut had an INT. This team is different. You're going to have to let them grow into what they end up being. But, JP, there are a lot of Tiger fans calling up Dr. Phil on this Tuesday.
We do have some highlights from this past Sunday LSU matchup against Florida State from Orlando Camping World Stadium. But man, first play of the game, Trey Bradford slips out the backfield, goes 55 yards all the way inside the 5. Couldn't quite get it. Inside the 20, excuse me. Couldn't quite get it in. But this is certainly a great start for this LSU offense.
Great misdirection, and then you got the running back on the wheel route. They didn't pick him up. He was wide open, one of the better throws. And look, a lot of people think that somebody besides Brett would have got down there, unfortunately. Here's a little play that some people like, some people don't like. Mason Taylor, once again, you got to get him more opportunities with the football.
They certainly ran that play a bunch, Bud, man. That read option with Mason Taylor jetting out to the outside. Here is a ball that was pretty well thrown, a little bit behind Malik Neighbors. Close call to be being a touchdown right here. We'll get a replay. 1 foot was out. And that's what we're talking about, Bud, man. The small things you have to have focus on. Know when you are on the field. There you see Neighbors tap that right foot out of bounds before he tries to get the toe in. Of course, LSU does not end up scoring. They'll take a sack on a 4th down play. Jaden Daniels tried to scramble out and make a play, but it didn't work out for the Tigers.
Yeah, look, and Jaden Daniels got to throw the ball with a little bit better poise and touch, and this is just a breakdown. He's smart enough to know he's got to get rid of the football on that play.
Florida State takes over, and really this is the tail of the first half for the Florida State Seminoles. 3rd down and a long way, and here's the quarterback finding a big number 14, the wide receiver Wilson, 6'7", tough matchup problems for the LSU cornerbacks. And here's that man, Keon Coleman out of Opelousas, one of his 3 touchdowns on the night.
Coach O and them did not recruit him. He was a basketball football star, still has some bad thoughts about not being a Tiger. Yep. Oh, by the way, speaking of 3rd down, Florida State 9 for 14 on 3rd downs.
Jaden Daniels right here, moving the offense a little bit. Nice pass to the outside. You saw the first one to Thomas. And, it looked like Jaden Daniels was kind of, getting in rhythm a little bit in times in this first half. Right here, good decision to tuck it and run, gets the 1st down. Don't like the hits he was taking. Needs to do a better job sliding down once he gets what the defense can take him. Need to protect himself if it's Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Once again, here's another throw to the outside. And, of course, as we know, how did that not get in the end zone? I'm trying to remember what happened on that play. Was that a penalty or what?
Kyron Lacy almost steps out, stays in bounds. LSU goes quick, scores there.
Okay, so they got the touchdown that drive. Okay, yeah.
LSU goes quick. While almost still in a replay, but Trey Bradford, first to score a touchdown for the season for the LSU Tigers. Don't know who had him on the poll, but Trey Bradford scores first to the Tigers 2023 campaign.
Here's the problem, once again, not putting pressure on Travis. He comes to the line of scrimmage, dumps it off, and here we go. Deja vu with Eric Anderson misjudging this thing. Brian Kelly said today it was a technical issue. Got to have those elbows close and catch the football the right way. Major faux pas, and it affected him the rest of the game, JP.
Certainly did. As you mentioned, Aaron Anderson kind of went in the doghouse after this. A little bit of timeout issues. Clayton did return the punts, I believe, for the rest of the game. But here is a quick turnover. Deuce Chestnut steps in front of Coleman. He picks off LSU's first turnover of the season. Happy to see Chestnut get a turnover right there. LSU certainly needed it at the time of the game.
And they put pressure on Travis, and very seldom did they do that. Unfortunately, when you're being able to throw without anybody hanging on you, it makes a big difference. Jay Bramblett, I guess if you could say you're looking for a positive, he did an excellent job with punting.
Yeah, looking for a highlight. This is certainly one for Jay Bramblett. Put him down at the 1. LSU gets the ball back. One of the few stops they had. Jaden Daniels tucks it and run. Thought he was going to score right here, but man, nifty feet. But once again, got to protect yourself. And then here we go. Noah Kane punches it in. LSU could not do much up front when it came to that Florida State offensive line. Noah Kane, 4 carries, only 4 yards, did have that touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know why Noah Kane didn't play more. And of course, once again, here's that man, Keon Coleman.
Yep.
He's just 6'4", 215 with a 40-plus vertical leap. He's got more talent and more size than the LSU corners.
Here's a bright spot. Under a minute left in the first half. LSU able to do some things on offense because of Josh Williams. Lackadaisical defense called on a read option play. Gets LSU Tigers all the way down to field goal range. And here's Jaden Daniels going to get a little bit more before bringing on Damian Ramos. Then take a 17-14-point lead into halftime.
Ramos kicked everything right through the guts. That's one of the things that you'll see. Everything split in the middle on all of the kicks. Divert decent on kickoffs as well.
Okay, you know what happened in the second half, so we'll pick it up late in the fourth quarter. 45-17 at this point. Brian Thomas, great job right there splitting the defense, getting all the way down for the end zone. A little bit of life right there for LSU to build upon for the offense.
But, you know, they were big up on that game. And, of course, Brian Thomas is a guy that obviously has got to be more of a factor. Look, everybody's blaming him on the drop ball, but he had another touchdown earlier if J.D. hits him earlier. Yep. I thought he threw a nervous ball. I didn't think that he threw the ball with the touch. Seemed like he was fastballing everything. And that's nerves. JP, we talk about it. Just like Tim Tebow. You know, he wanted to change the delivery and shorten it up. When you're under pressure and you're nervous, you revert back to those old bad habits. They'll have to work on Jaden Daniels. But Denbrock's got to help him with play calling. Dink and dunk. If Shedeur Sanders can do it for 510 yards against TCU, I want to see LSU dink and dunk and throw the short stuff with their playmakers in space.
Another quick break. We'll come back here from Coach Brian Kelly. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to miss it. You're watching Tigers Roar.
Tremonti's has meat, Tremonti's has seafood, Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters, huge wine and liquor selection, beer and all the spices you need, Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats, ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs, 20 flavors of sausage for the grill, daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremonti's.com.
Get huge savings all summer long with the Buy Here, Sell Here program at the Team Automotive Group. Sell your vehicle to us and we'll pay you top value. Or buy here and get a 90-day warranty on the purchase of a pre-owned vehicle. Get Team VIP service at every location of the Team Automotive Group.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Manda Fine Meats. The flavor says it all.
Few things in life are as valuable as family and peace of mind, especially when it comes to your final arrangements. And that's where Lee Serio can help. His prepaid funeral plans make sure your life will be remembered exactly the way you want it to. With Lee Serio, no detail is too large or too small. Call Lee or his wife Gretchen at 225-315-6329. Let Lee Serio give you and your family the peace of mind you all deserve.
Get yourself summer ready with the award-winning lineup of Hondas at Team Honda. We'll help you find just the right vehicle to hit the road to whatever destination awaits you. Come shop the most awarded brand in Car and Driver's 10 Best history at Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Treads & Care Tire Company announces its new location on Hooper Road in Central. Locally owned for 50 years, Treads & Care is known for quality automotive repair with top-notch customer service. Treads & Care offers the convenience of shuttle service and pickup and delivery of your vehicle. You can also enjoy the comfortable customer area, complete with workstations, high-speed internet, and a complimentary coffee bar.
I'd like to invite you to come out and see us at our new location in Central.
Treads & Care, the tires you need and the service you want.
Welcome back to Tigers Roar. Jonathan Poche, the Budman, Buddy Songy here at Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. A great place to come check out some LSU football. If you're not going to the game, come check out Old School Barbecue. Great food at old school prices. Once again, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. We tape here on September the 5th, a Tuesday. Coach Brian Kelly at his press conference on LSU's campus today. We'll let you go straight to the head coach. Here is head coach Brian Kelly, his comments about the Florida State Seminoles and looking forward to Grambling this weekend. Here is head coach Brian Kelly.
Let's go over the game from Sunday first, Florida State. You know, we had a lot of young players involved, and this is not to set up the mea culpa. That was a disappointing performance. Nobody's happy with it. Nobody from LSU fan base should be happy with that performance. I'm certainly not. We're disappointed. But we had 11 true freshmen on that trip, 5 first-time starters, 4 on defense, and we had 14 transfers. So 50% of that roster was going through it for the first time. And I think my comments, I want to kind of elaborate. I said, this is not the team I thought it was. It has nothing to do with their physical ability. I knew who they were physically. But, you know, when you're playing and competing at the highest level, this is about a connection between the mental and the mental preparation, the mind and the body. And there was a disconnect there. The disconnect was, this is a hard game. The game of football requires a competitive edge that we lacked, in particular the second half. As you know, we got outscored 31-7. So understanding and recognizing, you know, how our team was thinking and what they thought about themselves and their beliefs and all of those things come into question when you talk about the performance. Because it's not just about talent. It's the ability to put talent and certainly the right way of thinking and what they believe. And certainly that belief was misguided, and that falls on my shoulders in terms of messaging, in terms of how we get our players to understand that this game of football is very difficult. It's hard to win, especially when you're playing a top 10 opponent. You have to play with a competitive edge, which is a combination of a sense of urgency and emotional control, those two coming together. Then finally, you know, you've got to play with an attention to detail and focus. And all of those things, you can pick out situations throughout the game where those didn't come together. So it's my job to make sure that that occurs and that we get that taken care of so we can put the right LSU football team on the field. And that didn't happen. That falls on my shoulders. It's my job to get that corrected, and we will moving forward. So that's a little bit about the comments I made after. Look, there were some individuals that did some really good things, but it's pale in comparison to, at the end of the day, you're looking for wins. So stand up here and talk about different players and what they did do. This is about a full team coming together and delivering their best when their best is needed. And I did not have them delivering their best when their best was needed. So that's where we're at. That's where we need to get to. And we'll get there. Because I promised LSU fans that we would play this game the right way, and that's not the right way to play LSU football. So we moved to Grambling. Excited about a home game, obviously, and playing in front of our home fans. You know, clearly an HBCU school like Grambling, one of the historic programs in college football. We all would identify Grambling with the great history of titles and national titles, and certainly great players in Buchanan and Doug Williams, and certainly the great Eddie Robinson. So Hall of Famers and Willie Brown, I could go on and on. This is exciting. I know for anybody that follows college football, you know, to top it off, it's a school in state as well. So I know our team is excited about getting back out there and playing the game the way it's intended to be played for 4 quarters, not for 2 quarters. Hugh Jackson, I think, is an NFL head coach that has had great experience now coming into the college ranks, well respected. I respect what he's been able to do. This is a reworking of his roster in 1 year. This is a totally different looking football team. They lost to Hampton in a really good match, and Hampton's a good football team. So he's got a club that's going to be much improved over last year, and they do some really good things. Some nice players. The Crawley kid's a transfer from Alabama State. You know, he had over 300 yards. They got some guys on their roster from Baton Rouge in their 2 deep. Some guys from Louisiana that will be undoubtedly anxious to get into Tiger Stadium and play. Matthews on defense. They've got some nice defensive linemen that can rush the quarterback. So it'll be an exciting opportunity for us to take care of what we need to take care of, and that's play this game the right way. As I said, winning's hard, and you've got to do all the things necessary to make sure that you represent the LSU brand and the history of this program the right way, and we'll get that going this week. So with that, we'll open up to questions.
Brian Wilson here from The Advocate. You talk about competitive edge. So then what's the plan, I guess, for, or how do you go about restoring that now in the middle of a season when it wasn't evident to you in week 1?
Well, first of all, we're not in the middle of the season. It's game 1, right? And 2, it's a recognition of what a competitive edge is. And so some guys played with it and others didn't, but it's not good enough if we don't all have that same competitive edge. And as I mentioned, it's playing with a sense of urgency. It's when your offense comes out from the sideline and jogs out, you know, to start the next possession, and the clock's running down and there's 6-7 seconds. That's not a sense of urgency. It's on defense when the backside corner's jogging across the field in run support instead of sprinting across the field like his life depended upon it. So it's coaching that. It's showing that on film. It's doubling down on the importance of playing with a sense of urgency, and having the emotional control so it doesn't spill out into 10 penalties like Florida State had. We had 2 penalties in the game, so we probably had too much emotional control. So it's the balancing act of those 2 things, and knowing that we're early in the season and just have to make sure that we're accentuation on the most important facts, and that is one of the important facts.
Just curious what you saw in the film as far as Harold Perkins' performance. Can this team afford to not have him see ball, get ball?
Well, you know, certainly a question that we have talked about. There's a lot going on, and you could clearly look at Harold and what he's asked to do versus, you know, lining him up off the edge. Player development has to be thought about. You know, where he goes at the next level has to be thought about, and then impacting our team. So I think that there is there's a happy medium there that we could probably strike, and we've already begun to look at how we can be most effective for Harold and for LSU.
Hey, Coach, over here. Matthew Bruning with On 3. Just how did you evaluate the offensive line performance, especially in the run game against Florida State?
Yeah, I mean, we weren't, you know, obviously feeling as though we controlled the line of scrimmage by evidence of our inability to be effective. But we got to run the football too. We didn't establish the run the way we need to, and I mean by striking on a much broader front. We've got to run it inside, we've got to run it outside, we've got to be much more balanced in terms of a running attack. Jaden Daniels can't be our leading rusher week in and week out, so our backs have got to touch the ball. So there's got to be more balance there to get a true evaluation of the offensive line. I mean, when you're talking about just a couple of carries for each back, and you're talking about, you know, read option situations with the quarterback, it's harder to get a full evaluation. But in those crucial situations, you know, we've got to be better. There's no doubt. And you know, like I said, there's improvement from the head coach all the way down to, you know, our manager that has to be made here from week 1 to week 2.
And that was head coach Brian Kelly, his press conference today, September 5, Tuesday, from LSU's campus, talking about Florida State and Grambling this weekend. You heard right there, Bud, man. Coaching across the board, from the effort, intensity, to halftime adjustments, player personnel, everything can be improved and will be improved according to the head coach.
You know, we always love it when the fans have plenty of talking points. Harold Perkins, got to get him situated and be more effective on defense. Can you run the football? I want to see what Logan Diggs and the rest of the running backs do. You heard Coach Kelly can't have Jaden Daniels as the leading rusher. Again, that's problematic. And on defense, what kind of impact do you think Mason Smith will have in this game?
I think he really will have a huge impact, especially going against the Grambling. He's going to be able to get his feet back under him. Like you mentioned, he is a little bit out of shape, hasn't played live in over a year. But I do believe he's going to command double teams and free up some of those outside rushers.
Aaron Anderson, give him a little grease, folks. Give him a little chance. Look, there were a lot of young players playing in the first time. You've got to accrue some experience for those guys. But hang in there. A lot of overreaction because, as we alluded to at the beginning, you get 5th in both polls. By the way, LSU 14 in both polls. I thought it was a very fair drop when you look at what happened. Oh, by the way, Clemson, who LSU starts with, not next year, that's USC in 24, but Clemson is the opening opponent in 25 and 26. They got beat by Duke. Mike Elko doing a hell of a job over at Duke.
Another quick break here on Tigers Roar. We'll come back. You'll hear a little bit more from Coach Brian Kelly. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Tigers Roar.
taste the feeling.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hi gang, Clarence Buggs here, inviting you to come by Old School Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, where we tape the show live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Come by and feast on news, sports, current events, love of God and country, and lots of common sense, along with some of the best barbecue anywhere on the planet. 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Old School Barbecue, home of the Clarence Buggs Show.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golfing Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to greystonecountryclub.com.
It's time to go where summer leads you during the season of discovery at Team Mazda. Transcend ordinary in the Mazda CX-5 or experience the next level of luxury in the all-new Mazda CX-90. Come by today and discover Mazda at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda.
And we continue here on Tigers Roar. Oh, Bud man, I forgot to hit you with the shades. There you go. That's better. We continue with the sunglasses, Bud man. LSU drops a game, 45-24 to Florida State. We've been talking all about it this episode of Tigers Roar. If you missed anything in this episode, go to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting. All the Tigers Roars are archived for your viewing pleasure. While you're there, click the like button, subscribe to the page. We certainly appreciate it. We do have another clip from Brian Kelly's press conference from today, September 5, from LSU's campus. Want to jump right into it, get a little short on time. So here's head coach Brian Kelly.
Back this week, but you have him back at Tiger Stadium for the first time in a while. How do you feel about that?
Giddy. Is that a good enough word? I'd say gritty, but giddy is the best I could come up with in one word. No, I mean, he obviously impacts our defense. You know, he allows us to do different things, allows us to, you know, he's a guy that can play the 5 technique, he can play the 3, he can play the 1, the 0. I mean, his flexibility on our defense provides a new dimension that we're excited about getting him back.
And how do you feel about the first down rule after playing a full game with it in effect?
The new, I'm sorry?
The new first down rule?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, it's going to cost you a few plays here or there, but I don't think it impacts the game where it changes what you do strategically. You know, we were able to mount a drive in late in the game, and that's what you're looking for. It was late in the first half. I think we had about 57 seconds. We were able to manage because the clock stops there. So I think in the crucial situations, you know, it's you know, the same thing. It gives you a fair advantage. It doesn't take anything away in the crucial situations, and I think it keeps the game moving.
Brian, after watching the film, in particular the secondary, I'm curious, how much of the issues were scheme, communication? How much was their guys were just better?
Well, I think there's some technical things that we have to be better at, you know, technique-wise. You know, we're an inside leverage and supposed to be denying the slant, and we're letting a receiver inside us. We're supposed to be denying the post, and we're getting run by. Is that physical ability? Is that lack of technique? Maybe it's both. Look, we knew that there were going to be some matchup issues. I want to go back to where I started. And when I say this game of football is hard. It requires such an attention to detail when it comes to, it's not just about your ability. You have to apply the technique and the traits necessary if you want to succeed in this game. And we just didn't do a good enough job, whether it was at the cornerback position or whether it was at the safety position. If you're supposed to be in a particular position, you need to be there. And that's where a number of things broke down for us, and in particular at corner.
Hey, Coach, this quote that was going around, we're going to beat the heck out of Florida State. It's my understanding that you said that at your coach's show in jest, and it was taken out of context.
I have no idea. I mean, look, I think you all know me. I'm pretty careful with what I say and how I said it. Never have I been cavalier or disrespectful to an opponent in my 33 years. So if somebody wants to prop up a comment like that and inflate it into something that it is not, that's what social media is about today. But I have nothing but the utmost respect for Coach Norville. I know who the opponent was. It's just not in my background or nature to make those kinds of comments.
I just wanted you to clarify because I saw it and I never heard you say it, and it didn't sound like something you would say.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, the position of head coach or any leadership position, you're going to get things thrown out there that are absolutely untrue, and you have no way to combat them, because you can just sometimes just throw stuff out there and hope it sticks. But that's not something that I would ever say.
Hey, Coach, Glenn West, Go247. I know you had mentioned last week that you were impressed by some of the progress the freshman class have been making. Do you expect, I mean, after a game like that, to have a lot of questions about kind of personnel and if those young guys might get some more opportunities going forward, or how do you kind of evaluate that aspect of it?
No, I think, look, anytime you have a setback, you're going to examine everything. You know, you're not going to have blinders on and say, well, you know, the ball just didn't bounce our way. You're going to examine everything from, you know, play calls to personnel to what time did we leave the locker room. So all of that is under scrutiny.
Hey, Brian, Sheldon Mickles of the Advocate. You were really good last year in the red zone, and so the other night, I think twice in the first half, obviously, first two periods, you got no points. What did you detect after watching the film? What were the breakdowns there?
I think when we talk about most of the issues that we had on both sides of the ball, it will come back to being 1/11th of the unit, meaning do your job. We had guys that in situational football were trying to do 3 other jobs instead of their own job. And if we were more disciplined and more focused and had the details to their job taken care of, we would find ourselves in a different position. And that's why my comments were on point relative to after the game. We weren't who I thought we would be. I thought we would be much more disciplined. I thought we'd have a better attention to detail when it came to those things, and we did not. And that's on me. And so I have to make those changes. I have to make those corrections, and we have to do a better job there. Yeah.
Brian, when it comes to Aaron Anderson, is he going to get a chance to continue to catch punts after having the muffin? Would you like to see him more involved in the offense moving forward?
Yes, he's going to stay back there. Look, he's got to catch the football. And with him, it's the fundamentals, right? It's high hands, elbows in, square platform. It's the stuff that we talk about ad nauseum from day one. and he gets away from that a little bit. He goes back to these old beliefs of, I'm better than everybody, and I can just do it. And that just doesn't work, especially when you got cats running down the field and they're on you before you know it. And then you make a slight move and, you know, you're off-centered a little bit and the ball can squirt out. So we just got to get him to be more disciplined, keep working with him. He's a young player. We're not kicking him out of the club. We're going to keep working with him. And then, yeah, there's then that natural progression of, you know, getting him back involved in more of the offense.
And that was some more of head coach Brian Kelly's press conference from earlier today, Tuesday, September 5, from the campus of LSU, talking about the Florida State Seminoles and the game against Grambling this upcoming weekend. Bud, man, the last question for Coach was about Aaron Anderson, and would you get out of the doghouse, or would you like kind of punish him for not bringing back punt returns? And you heard Coach say, "Look, we're gonna keep him involved. Absolutely, he's a very gifted punt returner. Got to get him more involved in the offense. Very explosive, that one cut and lots of speed down the field, but kind of a non-factor outside of that muff punt."
Yeah, no doubt about it. Deja vu with the muff punt. Of course, as JP said, didn't hurt LSU because of the chestnut pick. Look, you generally improve the most from week 1 to week 2. You want to see that. There is a ton of stuff to clean up. I caution the LSU fans to take a deep breath, chill out a little bit. They're going to get better. You got to go week 1. JP was telling me, look, all these predictions about 10-2 and 11-1. Go 1 week at a time, but I think everybody has certainly downgraded those predictions. But it's a tough league. Football is hard, and it takes a while to get on track and know your strengths and weaknesses. Coaches got to do a better job. Players got to do a better job.
One bright spot for the defense, thought transfer Omar Spates had a pretty good game, but man, 8 total tackles right there in the middle of the defense, playing sideline to sideline. Coach Matt House has to figure out a better way to use Harold Perkins, though, and need him to rush the passer.
Look, I'm going to predict Mason Smith to get a half a sack. Him and Wingo going to meet back at the quarterback this weekend. Aaron Anderson, don't already put him in the closet. This guy has not played in about a year and a half, JP. Was hurt last year. Give him an opportunity, and once again, LSU Grambling, SEC Plus and ESPN Plus this weekend, 6:30, stream only.
We talked about it earlier, Bud, man. If you lose by 1 point or 20 points, it still just counts for 1 loss in the column. LSU drops their first game last year. Still wins the SEC West, so everything's still on the table for the Tigers. All of their goals still in play, and we certainly appreciate you tuning in to Tigers Roar. We'll have it all football season for you right here on Pelican Sports TV. Check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/Pelican Broadcasting.